All right, good morning, guys. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you, Jamie, for the invitation. So we'll be together for several sessions. Naisip ko tayo ako doon, pero hindi pala pwede kasi maglalakad-lakad ako dito eh. So we have to stay down here. So I apologize if I don't stand up there. So we'll be together for several sessions. You'll be meeting many people who are part of Jamie's team. Although today, me and Edward's over here, me and Edward will be working together with you, answering your questions, helping to allay all your fears, and to guide you, hopefully, through 6 of these sessions, getting progressively longer and longer. So if you have any questions or concerns, Edward is there, I'm here, please just ask away, all right? So, before we get into walking itself, let me tell you a few things that I've learned about walking and why I'm a very big fan of walking and why I think that learning how to walk properly is one of the most important things that you can do for your marathon. Number one, for most of you who are, I know that Jim Lafferty said that on your first marathon, and I know that most of you are running a first marathon, he doesn't advise that you have a time goal in mind. Alam ko naman na lahat kayo, you have a secret target in mind, di ba? Na hindi lang yung sinasabi sa ibang tao kasi baka hindi kayo umabot doon and all that. And all of us are like that. All of us are the same. But I think that for most people, and I dare say for all people, you have 2 goals. No? Number 1 is to finish safely, to finish happily, to cross that finish line, to see your family and your friends, and to say that you've done it. But goal number 2 is, well, I hope I finish within this range to that range. All right? Now, based on my personal experience and based on my experience also of being with the past 2 Dream Marathon batches, I can say that most people, right, the great majority of people will finish between 5 hours and 6 hours and 15 minutes. Okay? Most people will fall within that range. Some people will finish faster and some people will finish later. Doesn't matter. I don't really care. This is my point. When you're out there for about 5 to 6.5 hours, about 20% of that time, you'll be spending walking. Okay? More than an hour of your entire marathon, and you're probably not gonna believe me now because you're thinking, kaya ko noon tumakbo lang 21K dire-diretso eh. I'm probably not gonna walk that much. Oh, believe me, you'll be walking a lot. Right? And Nuvali is not the hardest course, but it's not the easiest course either. All right? It has some hills, and these hills get tougher after the first 20K. Right? So, based on my experience of watching about 600 people finish this marathon, on the average, you'll be walking about 1 hour to 1 hour 20 minutes during the marathon. Right? Which means that during the 42K, you'll probably be walking about 7 or 8K of the 42K. Okay? That is a lot. Alright? You've probably never walked that far in your life, I'm guessing. All at once. Alright? Now, here's the thing. The better you utilize your body and your time while you're walking, the better your run will be. Okay? I repeat, these aren't 2 separate things. Yung running portion, hindi yan greatly different from the walking portion. In fact, the better you walk, the better you'll run. Alright? And I'll explain that, right? The program that Jim Lafferty designed for the Dream Marathon, which, as I said, has been used for the past 3 years, is a run-walk program. This is not an original idea by Jim Lafferty. As some of you or most of you may know, the whole run-walk philosophy was started and evangelized by Jeff Galloway, right? Now, this has been going on for many years, going back to the mid-80s, all right? The run-walk philosophy is perfect not only for first-time marathoners, but for running in general. I have been running for 14 years, right? And Since 2008, I have not done a single run, whether racing or training, whether 5K or 42K, that I don't do it run-walk style. Okay? Why? Just because I've found that doing the run-walk method not only is gentler on your body, but it allows you to control the race rather than letting the race control you. What do I mean by that? You know, let me paraphrase this this sentence that I read in one of the books, and I think it applies to the Dream Marathon more than in any other race. The author said that as far as he's concerned, what is the marathon? The marathon is 32 kilometers of dreaming and 10 kilometers of hoping. And it's true. For most people, I'd say 90% of you, at some point between 30 to 32K, you will feel exhausted and tired, and you'll be wondering, how will I get through the last 10K? Right? Simple. You'll get through the last 10K not because of your body, right? Oh, partly because of your body and partly because how you trained, but more than anything else, you'll get through the last 10K because of your heart and because of your mind, right? But the more your body is rested when you hit that wall at 32K, the easier the last 10K will be as well. And that's the role that walking plays. Okay? Now, how many times have we seen this in all the races that we've been through? All right? People are running, people look good, people look strong, but somewhere near the finish line when they get tired, their body begins to break down, they begin to walk more than they run, they start complaining about aches and pains, and then their whole form just collapses. Okay? What do I mean? So many people, when you see them running in the beginning, when they're fresh, they're running nice and tall, their bodies are straight, their form is good, their stride is strong and powerful. Once they get tired, what begins to happen? The shoulders begin to slump, medyo kumukuba na, you know, the feet begin to lead the body rather than the body leading the feet. Heel striking becomes more prominent, and every step becomes heavier. Not only that, when you see them stopping at water stations to take a break, they look as if the whole world is already on their shoulders. Pag uminom, parang talagang nagbubuhos na, umiinom, buhos ulit. And everything just seems a lot more difficult. Alright? Why? Because they've pushed themselves to that point where their body is really not used to the kind of stress that they're putting on it. Okay? Now, the marathon distance, 42 kilometers, 5 hours, 6.5 hours. To anyone, mahirap yan. Okay? We're not gonna lie to you and say that, you know, on March 18, you're gonna stand there and you're gonna have the time of your life. You will. But before that will be a bit of hardship. Now, you have to train your body not only to withstand the distance, but you have to train your body to keep its form, to keep its integrity, to take you one step after the other. Okay? What do I notice? I notice that a lot of people seem to think that running and walking are two different things. When they run with great form. But when they begin to walk, whether they're walking at the water break, water station, or they're just taking a scheduled water break, you know, they just walk so lazily as if they don't care, as if they're walking around the mall. Alright? This is a problem. Okay? Why is this a problem? Because remember, why does Galloway and Jim Lafferty recommend the run-walk method? Okay? Only two reasons to it. Number one, walking uses slightly different muscles than running. So every time you take a walk break, you rest your running muscles. It's as simple as that. Okay? Second, all right, walking allows you to have more energy at the end than at the beginning. Any experienced long-distance runner will tell you, all right, the race is divided into 3 parts. The first 21K, 22 to 32, and then 32 to 42. Okay? To have energy from 32 to 42 is very, very important. And you take walk breaks often, regularly, so that you store up energy for the last 10K. Okay? Let's be very clear about that. Our bodies, parang tangke ng kotse yan eh. Pero itong tangke ng kotse, Hindi yan parang pwede mong iparada sa gas station and to refuel gas. Our bodies, whether you're an elite runner or you're a beginner, I don't really care, but everyone's body has a finite set of resources. Once you hit empty, that's it, you're done. There is no gas station where you can fuel up. You can take as many drinks as you want, you can eat as much as you want, and you're not going to get that energy back. So, as marathoners, as future marathoners, your number one goal for the next 22 weeks is to get to know your body, right? And make sure that you pace yourself in such a way that you can run the entire distance. Okay? Now, ito yung one advice na ibibigay ko sa inyo before we get into walking proper. Right? Run your run. Trust me, run your run. I do not care that you have a friend who can run a 4-hour marathon. You are not your friend. I don't care that you have friends who can run a half marathon in less than 2 hours. I don't care that you know people who can run 10K in less than 50 minutes. You are not them. And they are not running for you. Run your race. Right? Have a goal in mind, have a plan in mind, and follow it. Alright? Now, following a plan and getting through the next 22 weeks will be so much easier if we have a support group around you. You have a bunch of people here. Most of them you probably don't know. Okay? But I bet you, a lot of you share the same goals. A lot of you share the same time goals. Get to know each other, group together, and form little groups within these clusters. Because it's these groups that will help the next 22 weeks get easier, and the group will support each other. Alright? So I hope that you really take that time to get to know your batchmates, because you'll be seeing each other a lot, right? And, you know, several people having the same goal is always a lot easier than one person struggling by himself or herself. Alright? Now, let's get to the walking part. Okay? There's a right way to walk and there's a wrong way to walk. Just like there's a right way to run and there's a wrong way to run. Okay? What is the right way to walk? 3 things I'll say about that. Number 1, your form does not collapse. Think of your running and your walking as part of the same package. Right? If you run with good form, you should also walk with good form. Like I said, the last thing I want to see is that you're so focused on your run, but when you take your walk breaks, you let your mind completely collapse, and then you walk as if you're walking a Sunday walk in the mall. Don't do that. It's very important that you maintain the integrity of your form, because when you have proper form, the proper muscles in your body are working, and you're not overstressing certain muscle groups. Right? When you walk, and your strides are too long, for example, or when your heel and ankles are flexed and tight and unrelaxed, what happens? You're not resting your running muscles. Right? So, at all times, you have to remind yourself to relax, particularly in 3 areas: shoulder and neck, lower back, feet and ankles. Okay? These 3 areas you have to be very, very mindful of, because these are the 3 areas that you hold tension in your body: shoulder and neck, lower back, feet and ankles. When you walk and your feet gets too far ahead of you because you're in a hurry, kasi you're worried that walking breaks slow you down, what are you doing? You are straining your Achilles tendon, you are straining your calf muscles, and you are exerting a lot of pull and push on your hamstrings. Okay? All these things do not help you with your run. Okay? I said number 1, what is the main purpose of walking? The main purpose of walking is helping you to, store energy for the latter part of the run. But the second most important part of it is precisely that, right? You take walk breaks early and often so that you never get to that point where your body begins to break down. Okay? So, let's be very, very specific with it. Okay? Before I go back to the form part. Based on my experience, and this is what I've seen with hundreds of people. If your target is 5 hours, what is the recommended run-walk ratio that I hope you'll be with by March 18? Not more than 4 minutes of running, 1 minute of walking. If you can run a marathon in about 4 hours and 45 minutes or faster, then you can do something like 6 minutes running, 1 minute walking. If your target is about 5 hours 30 minutes, I strongly recommend 3 minutes running, 1 minute walking. If your target is 6 hours and beyond, I strongly recommend 2 hours running, 2 minutes running, 1 minute walking. Okay? Now, none of these plans are set in stone. You can always change those plans. But, and this is the critical point, because a lot of people ask me, hindi ba pwedeng takbuhin ko yung first 21 tapos mag-run walk na lang ako after 21K? Pwede. But I don't recommend it. In fact, I'd recommend the opposite. Schedule your walk breaks early and often in the first half of the race. And then if you feel good, if you want to run the last 21K, then go for it. Right? But you never want to do the opposite. Okay? And believe me, because this is based on experience, when me and my group, we were training for our Bull Runner Dream Marathon, we were very ambitious. Because we were a bunch of runners who could run 21K in about 2 hours and 5 minutes, 2 hours and 6 minutes, right? So naisip namin, if we can run that in 21, siguro yung time natin sa 42, mga 4 hours 40. So, kung sa 21 natin, nagna 9:1 tayo, so siguro 9:1 din dapat sa marathon. So we started 9:1. When we did our long run of 30 kilometers, we were like, pare, hindi talaga kaya yung 9:1 eh. Gawin na lang natin 7:1. Ayan, 7:1, kayang-kaya na yan. So we went on a long run again. 7:1. After 32K, pare, medyo mahirap pa rin yung 7:1 pag ganito nakahaba. Ano? 6:1. Oh, 6:1. Yan. So, marathon day. 6:1 kami. After 25K, 4:1 na lang tayo. Because it happens, right? You get tired. And again, based on my experience, based on those time goals, those are the ones I recommend. Jim Lafferty says the same thing, right? Find the proper interval for you. Okay? But plan for the whole 42. Okay? Don't just plan for a part of the race. You need to plan for the entire part of the race. So, I go back to the proper walking form. First is your alignment. Okay? Alignment is very, very important. Standing nice and tall. Particularly above the waist. So many people either run or walk kuba. What's the problem with being kuba? When you hunch down, you restrict the capacity of your lungs. And depending on how far you hunch down, you can restrict the capacity of your lungs up to 20%. And when you're trying to rest and recover, the last thing you want is to collapse your lungs down where your lungs aren't functioning to its full capacity. So, always maintain the integrity of your upper body. Try to stand nice and tall at all times, but with shoulders nice and relaxed. The problem that I see with most people, particularly men, is that their idea of a tall and straight upper body is standing military style. Chest out, shoulders up, shoulder blades back, lower back tight. That is not the proper way to stand straight. The proper way to stand straight is to have your spine nice and tall, but to have your shoulders nice and relaxed. Not pinned back, but just comfortably light right by your side. Okay? The second problem that I see with most people when it comes to walking is that they take a stride which is too big than what they need. Okay? Again, the problem that I see is that a lot of people think that they need to walk fast. It's not going to make a difference. Whether you walk slow or you walk fast, it's not going to make a difference in your marathon time. So you might as well walk very comfortably and allow your body to recover. Right? Every time your body is led by the feet, it's a very difficult proposition. So what do I recommend? I recommend all of you stand straight, feet parallel underneath you. Watch me first and then do it. Take one leg back and put it behind you. Only to the point that your Achilles is not strained and you don't feel any strain on your calf muscle. Again, stand with feet together parallel and take one step back. Not too far back that you feel strain, but only far enough that you feel comfortably without any strain on your calf and Achilles. Now, for me, this is how it feels. It's a very short stride. That is the proper stride for you. Nothing longer than this. Alright? Now, you might be thinking, bakit parang ang iksi? Maiksi talaga. The proper way to walk is with short, quick strides rather than big, long ones. Okay? So again, I'm 5'10", and for me, the walking stride is just this. If you're shorter than me, it should be shorter than this for you.